This week, Sam and I are heading down to Melbourne. We've got a few family events on. We're heading off for a week, which means we need to take care of our garden and all of our pets before we head off. So today my plan is to holiday-proof the whole garden to make sure that nothing dries out or dies when we go. So if you're wondering how to look after your plants when you go away for a week, then this is the video for you. First thing I need to do, and you will need to do as well, is if you've got seedlings like I do, it's wise to thin them out now. It's better to do it ahead of time, and that way the one that you pick or the two plants you thin out to are going to have the strongest chance to grow up big and strong. Strong, eliminated. Because they're not competing with weeds, they're not competing with other plants that you're not going to keep in the end. Now the next step falls right here, and that is to weed the ground. All of these grasses and other things that are coming up now that look very small and not very intimidating look okay now, but in a week could grow up and compete with your plants for water. So if your priority is to make sure that your plants don't dry out and survive, then weeding is a priority. So you may have already noticed that we have a lot of straw and bedding on our garden beds. They're not just empty and left bare, and this is really good for two reasons. One, it suffocates all of the plants below, and it also prevents the dirt underneath from drying out. So it's super important to put wood shavings, wood chips, or even straw onto your garden beds, and that keeps all of the moisture in the soil, and it also prevents the weeds from coming up. So as you can see, all of the straw rectangles are overlapping so that none of the grass tries to grow in between where it gets a spot to breathe. Another thing you can use if you don't have straw or don't have wood chips, you can use cardboard. You can use anything in the house like pieces of wood or anything heavy that sunlight and water can't get into, and that will make sure that anything underneath is going to die, and anything that you want to grow, you make sure not to cover it up. It'll also keep all of that moisture in the ground and encourage all of those good bugs like worms to come over and work the soil for you. Next step, my friends, is water, and this time don't go easy on your plants. You want to absolutely drench them. You want them to drink as much water as they can, because the more water they have now, the more they'll have access to over the next week. When watering your plants, try not to water them last thing at nighttime or at the heat of the day. Even when you put water on them in the heat, it tends to dry out the leaves, especially if you get the water on the leaves. But when you water them at nighttime, you're actually encouraging pests like slugs to come over and feast on your plants because they love the moist soil. So always water them first thing in the morning or when it cools down in the afternoon, but try not to water them at night. Now, I actually think that having a week off from watering is really going to strengthen these plants because it's going to encourage the roots to really dig down into the soil and establish the plants into the ground. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing what will happen. Excuse me, not for chickens, let's go. Come on. These guys are getting too confident. Oh my God, look at all the poos. They've been here for ages. Ugh. Now it's your potted plants and your climbing plants that are going to have the most trouble while you're away. So there's a few tips for them as well. Plants that need to be staked should be staked, no matter how young they are. You can see this young blueberry. The more protection this little guy gets, the better, because it can be quite sensitive. There we go. And similar to the garden bed, you can see I've put some wood shavings. Not only will that give it nutrients, but it will also help to protect it from drying out too quickly. Now you can see I brought my other pot plant over here as well, so my feijoa tree. And the reason I've put them together is, one, this spot gets the most morning sun, which is what we're getting right now. It's only 8 AM where I am right now. So it's going to get all the morning sun. Because of the spot and the tree behind us, it means there's going to be less wind, so the plants aren't going to get affected as much. And once the sun moves over the top of the house, this will become shaded from the afternoon sun, which is going to be the thing that's going to dry them out if it's there. If you're getting someone to plant sit for you as well, it's a really good idea to put all your plants together. It's not the spots you want for them, but it's going to be easiest for that person to take care of them. So I've got these little plates to go underneath the plants as well. That way I can give them a really deep water and they're going to hold on to as much water as they can in the soil, but all the rest is going to be in these little plates so that they can drink up while we are gone. So I'm going to give them a really deep water. You can see that any excess water is just leaving the pots, but at least I know it is full of water in there. Anything that's left over will stay in the pots, in the plates, so that these guys are good to go.